Welcome to EPG Pathshala in the subject of information technology and in the paper of open source software. Friends, today we will be discussing about GNU Linux. We are in the third module of open source software and today we will try to get an overview of GNU Linux operating system. Now, why I am advocating Linux operating system? What are the benefits of Linux operating system? These all things we will be discussing in this module. Our learning objectives are: first we will try to introduce what is operating system. Later we will try to know some key terms related to operating system and those that are related to Linux operating system. Then we will try to discuss why Linux is required and what are the different distributions available with Linux operating system. And finally, we will summarize the advantages and benefits of using Linux as an operating system. So, let us begin with our discussion. The first question that comes in our mind is, what is an operating system? An operating system is a system software. As you know, software can be either system software or application software. So, when we talk about system software, operating system is a software that is required to run all computers or any kind of gadgets and devices. Well, if we try to define operating system, then an operating system defines an abstraction of hardware and manages resource sharing among the computer's users. So, operating system is a software that sits between user and computer hardware. It brings the hardware in a usable format for layman user. When we say operating system is a system software, we mean operating system comprises of kernel, system libraries, it may be system tools and development tools, and it can be end user tools. So, when we combine all such kind of tools, then we get an operating system. Nowadays, operating system also comes with built-in software like Office, browsers and utilities like Paint for admin purpose utilities and so on. So, when we say operating system, it is a collection of various tools and utilities such that a user can easily use computer system. As you know, there are various operating systems available. For instance, Microsoft Windows, there are again flavors in Windows, say for example, XP, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10. Apart from Windows, there is Macintosh OS, which is used by Apple. In our phones, we are using Android operating system. So, Android is also a kind of operating system that is suitable for gadgets and mobile phones. And today, we will be discussing about Linux operating system. So, as we know, we have Windows operating system. We can run lot of programs and applications on Windows platform. Similarly, Linux is also an operating system, and most of the thing that can be done with Windows operating system can also be done with Linux operating system. So, my today's goal is to introduce what is Linux, what are the features available with Linux, and what are the distributions which we can use if we want to use Linux as an operating system. So, first let us say what is kernel. Now, in layman terms, kernel can be defined as the core of operating system. Operating system comes with a user interface, and behind that user interface there is kernel program. So, when we select a particular operating system, we are trying to select a particular kernel, we are trying to get a kernel that fits with the hardware and that can enhance the capabilities of hardware. Usually, kernel does device management, it does memory management, it does process management, and it handles system calls. As you know, a processor uses RAM. Processor also requires hard disk, because when we run programs, the processor is communicating with RAM, hard disk and it requires system calls and address bus and different kind of buses. So, kernel takes care of assignment of devices to the CPU, such that whenever a user tries to run his program or when a user tries to interact with the computer, he can see all the devices, for instance hard disk, communication devices in his system. So, usually kernel sits near to the hardware and it leverages the features of hardware and it provides the features to the user. Further, when we talk about Linux, now Linux is a free open source operating system. So, in general Linux comes with its own kernel. When we try to differentiate, Windows has its own kernel, Linux has its own kernel, they are entirely different. Further, Windows is a proprietary operating system, whereas Linux is a free operating system. So, Linux being a free operating system, you can download it from internet and you can install it on your system. It is very easy to install on any kind of computer. Being free, we need not pay any amount to the developers of Linux. That is why I am advocating the use of Linux. Linux being free, it is essential for student community, and nowadays most of the student community they are migrating from proprietary operating system to Linux operating system. The other point is, when we say free, free indicates freedom. There is a synonym for freedom in Hindi, we call it mukta. Freedom is not about independence, it is about mukta, freedom. So, a user who is using Linux, he is free to use any kind of Linux anywhere. He has also freedom to modify the operating system. For instance, I want to plug in some other component, I want to remove some component from the Linux operating system, I am completely free to do so. So, first point is Linux is free operating system. The other point is Linux provides lot of freedom. You can make changes to Linux operating system, and further we can also distribute Linux operating system. So, a teacher can modify Linux operating system and distribute to students. It can be distributed free of charge, or the teacher may charge the students. So, the teacher may sell Linux operating system. As we have studied earlier, there are different open source licenses. Linux is registered under GNU GPL license. So, when we download Linux, it is being shipped under GNU GPL license, and that is why when we say freedom, we are able to modify and we are able to distribute, or we are also able to sell our own Linux system. So, that is the third point. The fourth point is Linux is more reliable and it is less prone to malwares and viruses. As you know, there are lot of viruses with proprietary operating system. Every day news are floating that so and so virus has damaged so and so system, the virus is propagating in so and so manner. Viruses and malware, they propagate by pen drive or by internet connection. But when we talk about Linux, Linux is more reliable compared to few other proprietary systems. It is less prone to viruses and it is less prone to other malware software. For instance, adwares, spyware, these all software Linux can protect up to larger extent compared to few other operating systems. So, this is another reason why I am advocating the use of Linux operating system. Next point is, most of the software applications that run on Linux, they are also covered under open source license. So, for example, if I get Linux operating system and if I want to use Office suite, then there is no need to purchase Office suite. I can download LibreOffice, which is again free, which is again open source, and I can install it over Linux. If I want to play some media, then there is VLC media player, which can be downloaded and installed on Linux operating system. Apart from such kind of software, there are lot of other software like GIMP, Blender. If I am a programmer, there is something like R programming. So, there are n number of software which are again open source, and it can be downloaded and installed on Linux operating system. So, if I am installing Linux on my system, I am not only installing the operating system, but I have freedom to install other softwares, other kind of application software over Linux. If we take example of any proprietary operating system, then along with the proprietary operating system, I might have to purchase Office suite separately. So, there is more cost. First is I have to purchase the proprietary operating system. Other thing is I have to purchase some kind of Office suite or application which I require to run on that proprietary operating system. But as I said, Linux is free and we have freedom, we can install other applications over Linux. Again, those applications can be free or it can be a proprietary software. Friends, one more important point is Linux is backed by a huge community. Earlier days there were less people who knew Linux, but nowadays since past 1 decade there are a lot of experts who are good in Linux. They can be programmers, they can be system administrators, and nowadays Linux is also being deployed over cloud. There are applications available, so my Linux server can be readily deployed for cloud system. It will be surprising to know that the proprietary operating system has comparatively less amount of support compared to Linux operating system. There is a huge community. So, if you come across some kind of error, if something does not work on Linux, then we can directly reach that community and we can try to get our errors solved. The communities are again hobbyists or they can be professionals, and they are always eager to solve your queries. So, this is the reason why I am advocating the use of Linux operating system. Let us talk something about history of Linux operating system, the philosophy behind developing Linux and how it was developed. So, way back in 1991, a student named Linus Torvalds, he was building his own small toy kind of operating system. Linus was a student of Helsinki, that is in Finland. He was trying to build his own operating system. The major reason was, in those days Unix was the only operating system that was available, and it was very expensive. It used to cost thousands of dollars to get our own Unix environment. So, naturally students cannot afford to purchase Unix. Again, when we talk about history, Professor Tannenbaum, he had developed his own operating system, that was Minix. It was for students. He was teaching operating system in his lectures, for which he developed his own small toy operating system called Minix. It was similar to Unix in some sense, and Minix was again available for students. The code was also available to students. So, what Linus Torvalds did, he started borrowing code, he started borrowing ideas from Minix and Unix, and gradually he started building his own operating system. So, it all started with a student project. Later on, he dropped an email to the community that he is building a small kind of operating system, and those who want to contribute, they are most welcome. The email is shared in my reading notes. You can go through that email. So, such kind of email was floated, and surprisingly he received lot of responses. So, that is how Linux started developing. The evolvement of Linux took place after that email. Till date, Linus Torvalds is managing the Linux community. He takes care what goes in Linux and what does not go in Linux kernel. Although there is a huge community, there are thousands and lakhs of people who are part of Linux community. But Linus Torvalds, as of now, he takes care that the code of Linux must be reliable, and whenever the Linux kernel is released, it goes through the eyes of entire community and Linus Torvalds. So, the journey of Linux started in 1991 and Linus Torvalds is still involved in Linux development. Parallel to this, there was another person, Richard Stallman. He had developed GNU GPL license. GNU, as you know, GNU is not Unix and GPL is general public license. So, Richard Stallman, he started Free Software Foundation. He had lot of tools, an umbrella of tools were available with him, but GNU did not had a operating system. So, later on Linus Torvalds and Richard Stallman, they met together and finally they decided that let us release Linux under GNU GPL license. Even today Linux is shipped or released under the GNU GPL license. So, that is the main reason Linux is freely available and we are completely free to modify and redistribute the system. The terms and conditions, they are under GNU GPL license. So, there are two major people who are behind the development of Linux. One is Linus Torvalds and the other is Richard Stallman, who made it available freely. Now, later on a mascot of penguin was decided. So, whenever we see penguin, we can imagine it is Linux operating system. Linux operating system was developed by Linus Torvalds and later on a mascot of penguin was decided for it. Today, Linux powers most of the supercomputers. Nearly 50% of computers or 50% of servers that are running on internet, they are all powered by Linux. 90% of supercomputers are powered by Linux. Fortunately, Linux got very easy into server market. Linux is gradually getting into desktop market. So, most of the desktop PCs, they were using Windows operating system. Now, gradually people have started realizing the advantage of Linux and they are migrating towards Linux operating system. So, Linux is available as a desktop system. It can be installed on a desktop machine. It can be installed on servers. We can build cloud, we can build clusters using Linux. Surprisingly, nowadays TVs, DVD players and even rifles, they come with Linux installed in it. So, you can imagine the span of Linux. Linux started with a 386 system, that was a desktop system. It got very famous in server market and gradually it is becoming famous in gadgets and electronic devices. So, this is the brief history of Linux operating system. Now, let us consider the features that are available with Linux operating system. Linux is backed by huge community support. So, whenever an expert comes into community, he starts developing his own feature. For instance, an electrical engineer wants tools and technologies that are supported for electrical engineers. A mechanical engineer will try to develop tools and technologies that may help mechanical engineer, and same way graphics artists, they try to develop software such that they can use their own tools and technologies over Linux operating system. So, gradually Linux is becoming very famous among experts and end users, because as and when the communities are supporting, people are getting involved and they are contributing towards Linux development. Linux community can be of developers, can be of system administrators, there can be users, end users who are using Linux, and there can be vendors. Linux community is publicly open to all, anyone can be a part of Linux community. These communities can be local groups, it can be based on internet relay chats, there can be online discussion forums, there are special Linux users group, they try to meet maybe monthly or maybe weekly and try to discuss new features, new releases of Linux. So, there are user groups, there can be city wise, state wise or country wise Linux users group. Then there are mailing list available, there are news groups. So, whenever a new Linux is released or a new distribution is released, then it always goes into the mailing list, and everyone who is part of that mailing list will get to know that a new Linux OS has been released. Apart from mailing list, there are events, conferences like LinuxConf, DebConf. So, whenever a new distribution is released, it is announced in the conference, the community and people get together, they try to evaluate, they try to get acquainted with the new features that are released by Linux distribution, and that is how Linux is getting popular. More and more tools are being developed over Linux. Linux is becoming more and more secure, more and more reliable as it is evolving. It is supporting more amount of hardware. There were days earlier Linux was not supporting certain kind of sound drivers, some kind of graphics drivers, but nowadays Linux is supporting most of the sound drivers, graphic drivers. Most of the hardware is supported by Linux. Devices like routers, electronic gadgets, even they are supported by Linux system. So, this is the story of Linux, how it developed and how it is being backed by a very strong community. Now, let us briefly go through certain terms that are used with Linux operating system. First is Linux is multitasking. So, a single user can perform multiple tasks. For example, a person can edit document, at the same time he can listen to music, at the same time he can download from internet. Multiple tasks can go together in a single system. Second point, it is multi-user. As I said, Linux is being installed on servers. Now, definitely server requires multiple users. So, on a single system, multiple users can log in and they can work together. They can log in remotely from any place, any time, and they can work on a single server. As such, Linux does not differentiate much among desktop and server operating system. So, the desktop operating systems are also capable of multiple users and they are multitasking systems. When we install Linux, the first thing is there will be a bootloader. So, before Linux kernel starts, or when we say before Linux begins, bootloader is responsible to load Linux kernel in memory. A widely used bootloader, Grub, is being used. Grub, that is GRUB, it is a widely used bootloader. So, when we install Linux, it also tries to install bootloader along with it. So, bootloader, although it is not part of Linux kernel, but along with the Linux kernel, bootloaders are also being shipped. Earlier days there was Linux loader which was very famous, but nowadays people have started using Grub as a bootloader. The next point is kernel. As I said, kernel is core of operating system. So, whenever there is a new release of operating system, there is a new kernel that is being released. For the sake of curiosity, you may go through the website kernel.org. The latest release of kernel, the version number can be seen on that website kernel.org, and it is freely downloadable. If you are good in programming, you can download the kernel, you can compile it for yourself, and you can see how Linux is working. Another aspect or another term that relates with Linux is daemons. Daemons are background processes. Usually daemons are services. For example, if I am installing a web server, then I will require HTTP daemon, that is Hypertext Transfer Protocol daemon. As soon as I start my Linux system, the HTTPD service will start and it will keep on running unless I shut down the system. So, usually daemons are background processes which usually start with the server startup and they keep on running till the system is shut down. Or if a person wants to shut down the service, he can use the service command and he can shut down the daemon. Daemons are usually non-interactive, they run in background. As soon as the system starts, daemon will start. People or normal user may not interact with daemon, but whenever we are using services, like when we are browsing website, we require HTTPD daemon. When we are using Telnet, we require Zynet daemon. When we are logging into cloud server, we require SSHD daemon. So, there are various daemons. File transfer protocol require VSFTPD daemon, DHCP protocol requires DHCP daemon, and so on. They are all background processes that are running. The next term is shell. Shell is an interpreter that sits between kernel and user. So, whenever a user tries to enter any command, shell is there in between. It will communicate the command to the kernel, command will get the job executed, and whatever is the output, it is sent back to the shell, and again the user will see it. Kernel is difficult to handle for a layman. A programmer, no doubt, he can deal with kernel using system calls, but being a layman, if I want to open any file, I want to see the content of file, I want to do some operations, then I will use shell commands. Shell commands are very easy to understand. We can simply type cat and file name, and the file content will be displayed. If I want to remove file, rm command is there, we can remove the file. So, these all commands are given by shell, user interacts with shell, and finally, he interacts with kernel via shell. Other feature is graphical user interface. Now, when we say graphical user interface, there are different desktop environments that are visible to the user. User can use graphical user interface and he can start using the system. What you are seeing on the screen, it is a desktop environment of Trisquel Linux. As you can see, this is a complete GUI that provides the graphical user interface, various applications, there are icons for computer, there are recycle bin, and so on. Trisquel is a completely free software as certified by Free Software Foundation. Let us see some other graphical user interface. This is a widely used operating system, Ubuntu. So, this interface is provided by Ubuntu software. This is another desktop environment, we call it KDE environment. Even the interfaces are available in regional languages. For example, the graphical interface what you see here is in Hindi language. There are various Indian language support for Linux. So, if we try to locate, we will be able to find out Linux for our own native language. The Indian government is trying to build its own Linux operating system. There is something like Bharat OS. CDAC is also building or contributing towards regional open source operating systems. So, this is an example of graphical user interface, and as you have seen, there are different desktop environments. If a user is familiar with Hindi environment, he can use Hindi desktop environment, or he can switch on to KDE, or there is Genome environment, and so on. Coming back to our terms, there are applications available for Linux operating system. As I said earlier, LibreOffice is a widely used office suite. So, instead of using MS Office, what we call Microsoft Office, there is another application, that is LibreOffice, which can be installed over Linux and it can be used. This is a very good example of application software that can be installed over Linux system. Most of the Linux distribution, they already come with LibreOffice. So, if we install Linux, LibreOffice is bundled with that Linux system. One point is to be noted, LibreOffice being a free software, it can also be installed over Windows operating system. When we say open source or free software, it does not mean that it must be only installed on Linux. It can be installed on any other operating system. A very widely used application is VLC Media Player. Most of you might be familiar. This is also an example of free and open source application software. Now, let us discuss about distribution. Let me take an analogy. When we try to get some ice cream, there are different flavors available. There is vanilla, chocolate, strawberry. There are thousands of flavors available. So, if a person likes chocolate flavor, he will try to get chocolate kind of ice cream. Similarly, Linux comes in different flavors and we call them distributions. So, if I am a programmer, I will try to get a particular kind of distribution. If I am system administrator, I will try to get Red Hat distribution. If I like media, I will try to get Mint kind of distribution. So, there are various distributions available. When we say distribution, means it comes with a common kernel above which there are different applications. The kernel is common for all distributions. Linux kernel 4.0 will be common, but there are different flavors. So, distribution 1 might come with n number of applications that are suitable for engineers. Distribution 2 might come with another n number of applications that are suitable for security programmers, and so on. Different distributions, they bundle different kind of tools and software together. Few widely used distributions are Ubuntu, Red Hat Linux, CentOS, Fedora, Debian, Linux Mint, and so on. Most of the distributions are released on a cyclic basis. There is a website distrowatch.com from which you can find out which is the latest distribution or who released the distribution and when. Let us see another diagram. You can see there are various Linux penguins available. Now, all those they carry a common kernel code, but they come with different applications and tools. Red Hat is mostly used by system administrators, Ubuntu is mostly used by programmers and by school children, Mint is used by media professionals, and so on. The distributions can be classified into two categories. First category is there is community support. So, those distributions are freely available. You can download it from the website, you can install it and you can start using. If you face any error, there will be a community who will take care of those errors. There will not be any support from the company. The other category is commercial support. So, there are distributions like Red Hat Linux, Oracle, which is backed by the company, or that is commercial support. So, if I am using Red Hat Linux and if I come across some error, then there is the company who is going to solve my errors or who will help me. Now, why there are two kind of categories available? First category is for hobbyists or for students who want to download free Linux, who want to try and they want to start using it. The another category is for corporates, because corporate world cannot take risk of shutting down their servers. If something goes wrong, the server must be running. So, corporate world will try to get commercial support. So, whatever Linux they get, it is paid Linux. Red Hat Linux or maybe Oracle, they are examples of paid Linux. These they are supported by commercial support. So, there is some kind of license or subscription and they can purchase these Linux. Whereas, for students, for teachers and for other professionals who can take risk of going wrong with their Linux deployment, they can use community support. If I am ready to take risk, if my Linux system goes down, it is okay with me, then I can go for commercial support. Sorry, I can go with the community support. So, let us briefly summarize. Different Linux distributions are available. Few distributions are free, the others are for community support. Depending on the skills of the user, Linux distributions can be easy to use or it may be difficult to use. For example, a system administrator who is well skilled in using Linux may purchase Red Hat Linux. If I am a new person or if I am layman to user, I may try to download Ubuntu that is freely available and which is backed by community support. So, in the reading notes I have given a list of few Linux distributions and their usage, how difficult it is or what kind of skills are required. There is another diagram which shows how Linux distribution started. You can see earlier there was a single Linux kernel, it gradually started getting modified and this is how Linux started evolving. This diagram shows up to 2007. You can imagine if I try to bring the latest diagram, probably it will not fit in the screen. There are 1000 plus distributions available as of now. Each distribution has its own flavor. It can be used by a particular community or group of user. Now, the important point is how we will choose a distribution. As I said, there are 1000 plus distributions available. So, first question is, if I am downloading a Linux, what kind of hardware platform do I have? The other question is my skill level. If I am a geek, if I know Linux, I am using it since years, then I can download CentOS or Red Hat Linux. But if I am a layman, then there are few Linux available which is suitable for laymen. The other question is whether I am downloading for a server or a 386 machine, because servers they generally do not come with graphical user interface, whereas desktop environments they come with lot of graphical user interfaces. Other point that is to be considered, what are the installation media available, whether I have a DVD, CD drive and so on. Another point we have to consider is whether we want Indian language support or not. So, if I am not knowing English language, probably I will try to download a Linux that is in native language or maybe Hindi language. If I am downloading Linux, then the another question is what are my target users, whether it is for student or whether it is for my own purpose. The other thing is whether I am downloading for 32-bit system or 64-bit system, because nowadays most of the systems are 64-bit and the server operating systems they usually ship for 64-bit operating systems. Few other issues that we have to consider is what policies does the distribution provide, whether it can be used and it can be modified or whether it can be simply used, whether I can distribute it or not. So, there are n number of policies, different Linux distributions they ship under different licenses. Next point is how a user will update and maintain their systems. For instance, there are stable releases, there are beta releases. Say if I am downloading a beta release, I am at some more risk. If I am downloading a stable release, probably it will last for 4-5 years, I can update the system regularly and so on. And the last point is whether the user is intending to purchase a distribution or he wants a free distribution. So, these are few criteria which will help to select what kind of distribution we should download. No doubt there are n number of choices, but finally, we have to focus on a single Linux that can be downloaded and installed. Why Linux is not being used by lot of people? There are few myths that are quite prevalent among users. Those are naturally they are false, they are wrong. First myth is Linux is difficult to install. Second myth is it is not secure, it is not reliable. Few people say the manual is not available, it is not well documented. There are users who will say GUI is not provided by Linux, it is only command line. Few people will say that there is no support. For example, if I install Linux and something goes wrong, then probably I lose my data. and there are group of people who say that Word, Excel, PowerPoint, such kind of MS Office applications, they won't be supported on Linux. Now, these all things, they are false. Linux is quite robust, quite stable. As I said, there is a very huge community that is backed. Linux does support lot of other applications like MS Office suite. Linux has very good GUI. You have already seen there are graphical user interfaces. There are at least 5 interfaces that are being used publicly. It has support for native languages. It is very well documented. So, if something goes wrong, we can go through the documents and we can see, we can try to solve it by ourselves. And the last point, it is very much reliable and highly secure. When we compare to other proprietary operating systems, I will say that Linux is more reliable and more secure compared to few other OSs. So, please do not go through these myths. Linux can be downloaded, it can be installed for hobby purpose or for professional use. We can download it, we can install it, we can start using it. If something goes wrong, there is community who is going to help. The only thing is we have to try to locate those community through internet. If there are communities in our city, in our state, we can again meet them and personally get the things solved. So, instead of going through the myths, we can start using it, start using Linux instantly. In the next module, that is the 4th module and subsequent modules, the focus will be on installing Linux and learning how to use Linux operating system. So, to summarize, we started with the discussion of Linux. As I said, Linux borrows heavily from Unix operating system. It was developed by Linus Torvalds. We have gone through the features like Linux is fully multitasking, multi-user operating system, and it was built to provide services over networks. So, there are daemon processes that provide services over network. Linux is developed by developers. There is a very strong community to support. Any person can become part of community, whether he is a developer or whether he is a system administrator or hobbyist. And finally, we have discussed Linux distributions. There are n number of Linux distributions. There is a website distrowatch.com. You can go through the website and you can try to locate the highest rated distributions that can be downloaded, and we can find out communities for particular distributions. As I said, distributions can be commercial or it can be community based. Commercial support, when we download the distribution, we have to pay for commercial support. That is the revenue model behind Linux. If I am hobbyist and if I do not want commercial support, then I can get community support Linux that is freely available and which can be downloaded. So, friends, I hope I have motivated you towards Linux operating system. In the next modules, we will see how to install Linux and we will try to get familiar with tools and technologies that are being used with Linux. So, thank you for listening. Go through the reading notes, go through the websites, pointers that I have shown. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.